So it'll be quite
Right.
jarring to not. And I experienced that with.
Okay, BRB will be getting ready, so have fun here, I guess.
Everyone's muted, y'all can enjoy a bit of TDS.
Oh, this thing's on. Ha! Hey, I'm here. Waiting for Max and Chateau, I'm assuming. Oh yeah, I can do stuff.
Hi.
Hi, Max.
Ah,
Hi,
Oh
Chateau.
my god. We are here.
hello, we do be here.
We are here indeed.
Yay!
How was your day?
Oh, lazy.
I envy you. I envy you so much.
I just woke up.
I envy you so much. Guys, what are we doing today?
Talking.
About learning.
Could it be the first episode of our podcast?
It could be.
Oh my. Now, what is the name of our podcast?
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
Oh, is that because we crave knowledge? Nice. Very, very nice indeed. Right, shall we start with the question to get us going?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shadow, would you be so kind?
What do you like learning about the most?
I had a deep think about it actually. Because there is a lot of things. I like gathering knowledge. Gathering information is something that I really like doing. So there's a lot of subjects I'm very interested in, like science in general, but within science, physics. I really like physics. maths. But also, I like talking about like people's beliefs, like religion, spirituality, all of that. I love learning about that too. But I think the biggest thing that I really, really like learning about is humans and human behavior and psychology. Um, it's so natural. I am a human. I want to understand how you work, right? So every time I meet someone new, I'm very interested about how they perceive the world, because the more perspective we get, the closer we are to the truth, as they say. So yes, humans is something that I really like learning the most about.
Ooh,
Th-
interesting.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Who comes next? I
Yeah,
suppose I
that's
could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or you can still. Okay, sure, I'm going. I suppose when it comes to me, I guess, like, in school, etc., I like learning about maths and, like, programming, so more like logical areas of things, right? But I
Yep,
do
yep.
agree with Max here, because humans is indeed very interesting to learn about. All the cultures, all the languages, all the religions. Yes.
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 Awesome.
Now, for me, it's a little less about a bigger subject in general. It's more about the smaller things, like little fun facts. For example, in history, in relation to, let's say, I don't know, big feast that an emperor had. Regardless of the reason for the feast, there were often fun facts such as what the cook was doing, how the cook got their food so fast, and especially at such high quantities. So it always interests me when people that are teaching include these little, like, I would call them fun facts, these little tiny bits of information that show that they have more knowledge and have done research into a subject than what they're required. And so that's always what gets me interested when, especially that shows that they are passionate about what they're teaching, and it does pique my interest. So that's always what
That's good. That's so
Yeah.
good. Those little, like, one could say useless bits of information, but those
Yes.
are the bits of information that get you interested, that gets
Mhm.
you research the subject more. Yeah,
Big
that's
time.
really good. That's really good. Right. Today's theme is, if you didn't guess yet, learning. Each of us have brought a different subject within that theme, and we'll go one by one, just chatting about it. I brought a subject on. Initially I was going to have a massive rant on the schooling system. I'm gonna have a smaller rant on the schooling system, but rant nonetheless. What have you two brought?
So, my topic for today is about limits for our learning. Yeah, in general.
Awesome.
Hmm. What I've brought is sort of more about methods of learning and ways that, at least I've experienced, people have tried, the methods that people have tried to implement in teaching, whether that actually be in school or outside of school and in different areas of learning, and how those different methods may or may not have worked for different people.
Awesome.
Mm.
Would you like to start then with that?
Sure. So here on the fancy Google, we have 10. I would consider these the most well-known methods of both learning and memorization. So we have chunking, which is
That's a word.
essentially, chunking. Where you group together items so they're easier to remember, which is probably what got me through most of school. Not even gonna lie, it's just it's broken. It's very much it worked the best for me. Number 2 is spelling mnemonics or alliteration. Um,
I know
I don't
this one
think I
actually.
remember.
I know this one.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen alliteration come up too often. At least not in my learning years, but I've heard of it definitely. Number 3 is singing it out, singing out what you're trying to learn, I guess. Number 4 is rhyming, which might be similar to alliteration. Number 5 is just building technique, which is essentially using the methods that you already know work for you and sort of expanding a little on them. Number 6 is repetition, which I would believe most people think just repeating something over and over again might be effective. But then there's also spaced repetition, which has been proven to be more effective.
I know this one too actually. I use the one.
Now there's also visual memorization, which can be, first number 7 is storytelling or linking. So I think I've heard of a method for people who are having, let's say, panic attacks. Is it panic attacks? No, it's just memorization. That's a whole different thing. But essentially, you link words to items in your surrounding area. And that way, if you see that item, you link it to a word in your brain, which is also very helpful.
Yep.
Number 8 is flashcards, which the school system really tried to make work. But I think flashcards are very much just a vessel for other ways of memorization. Number 9 is mind maps, which call back to linking and storytelling, which is where you link items to words. Number 10 is a loci technique. Is this just the same thing?
As what?
Because they're referring to it as a memory palace. So yeah, you're just linking words to your environment, to an environment you know very well. So out of all of these, let me actually send you guys a list so that you don't have to actually memorize those. Haha. So out of all of those, which would you guys say you have used the most or are more familiar with?
I when I was at school, I actually attended a little course on the mnemonic. Was it mnemonic? Is that how you say it? Learning the one where you like create an acronym or something, and that helps you remember.
Right.
There was the actual course for it. I never used it. Never. However, what I did use when I was learning kanji for Japanese, I used spaced repetition, and I agree with your statement about flashcards being a vessel for other methods of learning, because I use flashcards for the spaced repetition, and it was really effective. It's just the process itself was quite boring, so I didn't end up finishing, unfortunately. Maybe I will at some point. But the method, even though it was a bit boring at times, it was really, really effective. I still remember a bunch of kanji, even though I haven't repeated them in ages. Really, really effective for me.
So when it comes to me, I guess the memorization techniques I at least knew about were making associations with, like for example numbers. But then also, perhaps I'd like to point out one interesting one my mom actually taught me. So it's basically, I guess it was like for Russian, but I guess you can make something similar in English. And it basically took all numbers, or like how do you call them? Like from 0 to 9, and each number had a specific letter associated with it. And then, if you need to remember like a complex number, you go and write all the letters according to the numbers, and then you make like a phrase
Oh,
or
that's
like a
awesome.
word. And that is how
Whoa.
you remember numbers. Like,
That's so
I know
good.
about that technique. I'm not sure about using it too much, but like I do know about it. And I think whenever I needed to like memorize something for history lessons, I think I tried to at least sometimes. Yeah. As for others, I don't think I've used them much. Yeah.
There's one interesting thing that was missing, and that is learning through audible sources as opposed to visual sources.
That is true. It was not on this list.
Because that's something that I use quite a lot. When if I see something, I might remember it for a bit, but if I say it out loud, that sticks with me much for a longer period of time.
So I guess that could fall under the singing it out part,
Yes,
but
I
not
suppose so.
specifically singing it.
Yeah. Just as long as it makes a sound, I will remember it easier.
Right.
Especially
And
if
that
it's
is
rhythmic.
It is a very big part of learning as well, especially with the school system, because you're listening to a teacher talk all day, and it'd be wild to think that there wasn't a way to learn just by listening.
Oh, we can talk about it a bit later about the
Yeah.
effectiveness of lectures.
Right, but in terms of these memorization techniques, for me, it was very much chunking and repetition, which repetition took me a bit of time to really understand why it worked. But with chunking, it was super effective just right off the bat. Because, for example, if I had to do a project for, let's say, history, I would skim through several articles and find the constants of information because, all these articles have different wordings, they probably get paid for that stuff. So all I had to do was find the core information and then just chunk it down to a few words like who, what, when, where, and why, right? So it was a feast in a warehouse for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I need to start with. But I need to turn that into a presentation. So from that basic information, I would start adding little by little onto it until I could pretty much cite an entire article just off the top of my head.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but it was basically just chunking because you just add little by little onto the chunks until the chunk becomes the whole article or until you can pretty much summarize without summarizing too much. And more specifically, to impress more than anything, I would try to memorize also some fun facts or some tiny bits of information because oftentimes teachers would ask challenging questions to see if you actually just memorized an article or actually understood the subject. So I didn't really understand the subject. I just had to memorize a little bit more. That's what got me through some of those things.
Oh wow. That's so interesting because I'm the exact opposite.
Wow.
Because memorization for me just doesn't quite work. Understanding works very well. Memorization just doesn't.
It did come back to bite me though, because let's say 3 days after that presentation, all that information was gone. Like it never happened.
Yeah.
hmm Right. So where do we move from here?
What do you move from here? I've got a question to you regarding the way you learn. Because you mentioned a few times before today that you often learn, when you learn something, you learn each iteration of that thing.
Right.
So like I think chess is a very good example here. Chess openings, right? For you, as far as I understand, to learn an opening is to learn each iteration of that opening. Like I move here, my opponent can move here, here, or here, and then you learn each of those and how it spreads out.
Right.
Is that right?
So, there was an article about how AlphaZero, like a super advanced chess computer, learned, and it had like a specific way of learning. It was like a tree sort of thing, but I think it still falls under chunking, because for each variation, it is a chunk of information, and that chunk could expand or it could just be very small depending on how much I need or how often I use it. So it does still fall under chunking. In terms of repetition, I still need to work on that, especially spaced repetition, because I think, especially with chess over the years, when you see a pattern so many times, your brain almost just shuts off, let's say, because it doesn't process it anymore.
Yeah.
Because you've seen it so many times, it just becomes like white noise from how often you've seen it, which shouldn't be happening for that type of game. But yeah, that still falls under chunking, at least for me, and the way I learn.
That's interesting. Because I don't think I would be able to learn in that way at all. What does help me, the way I learn most things, is I need to find the goal of an action, and then I try to logic my way through the problem and then find the solution. So I recently, when I started another job, right? So there's a lot of things to learn, and there is a person who was teaching me one particular thing, and he is on the autism spectrum. So the way he perceives learning is vastly different to the way I perceive learning. So what he was doing is he was like trying to teach me move by move. You do this, then you do this, then you do this, and that's not what I wanted. What I wanted is, in here we need to achieve this task, and we have these tools in our disposal. Go.
Right.
That's what I needed. I needed just this is what we need to do. This is what we have. Have at it.
So you did need a goal in order to move forward.
Yes. That's what I need. I need someone to tell me we need to accomplish this task, and we have these tools. You go and find your way.
Right.
I need to be problem solving to learn. I need to understand why we're doing things in order for my brain to actually get. Because, as you said, if I just memorize it, then 3 days later it will just be out of my head. But if I internalize it, if I use my brain power to understand why we have this problem and how we are fixing it, that stays for much longer. Understanding is more important to me than raw knowledge.
Right.
So to me, this actually seems like an issue of like the motivation to know something. So what I mean is, when you like know something, that means that it takes some energy to learn something and to keep it fresh in your brain.
Yeah.
So if you're not using it for anything, then it will fade.
Yes. Use it or lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, for example, you will often forget some information they teach you in schools, because you will need it for like a test. And before that test, you're gonna study, you're gonna memorize a lot, you're gonna, stuff it into your brain. But then after the test, you no longer need it. So your motivation to keep it in your brain is just not there. So you forget.
I don't know if I agree with that actually, because some things I would love to keep in my head, and I still lose it. Not because I'm not motivated to keep it, but because I haven't accessed that information for a certain period of time, and it's
Oh, yeah.
lost because of that.
Yeah, school does not make that easy. Keeping
No.
information.
We'll get to that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the perfect segue, though? Is this the perfect segue?
Well, Shadow, if you have more to say about these methods of memorization. Otherwise, we can move forward.
Nah, I don't think I have a lot to say here.
Fair. I'd like to start with a question to both of you, and the question is, which teachers at your school, at whichever level, motivated you and inspired you to learn about their subjects?
So here starts the talk on the school system, right?
Yes.
So for me, I guess it would be fair if I just tell you about good teachers, right?
Yeah.
So our chemistry teacher is actually awesome as a teacher. So what I love about her is that she actually has plans, and she has like a more strict lesson plan, I suppose. So she knows what we must learn today. She knows when we'll have, like, for example, a test on this. She knows exactly what we need to learn, and then she gives that information clearly and in a logical way. And also, she doesn't overcomplicate things. So yeah. And then I also like the tests there because she gives enough time and doesn't ask a lot from us. And that's why a lot of people in our class like chemistry and know chemistry. Well, more or less.
That's great. That's really good. I'm gonna use that bit of information later on. That's really good. Do you have any other teachers that really inspired you or made you want to learn their subjects?
Right now I can't give an answer. No, I can't say about any more teachers.
That's cool. That's all right.
I suppose
That's right. So
Russian
one
and
teacher, yeah.
literature teacher, she does incorporate some more creative things into the learning process, but not too often. So, yeah.
How many teachers are there in your school, or rather, how many
Oh.
teachers teach you?
I can't. Let me. Oh no. I don't think I can tell right away.
That's all right. If you could get that information, that would be amazing.
Yeah. But we do
Mr.
have
Chateau?
quite some subjects because Russian schools be
Yeah.
Russian schools.
Yeah, and learning on Saturday as well. It's a bit much. We'll get to that in a second. Mr. Chateau, how
Mhm.
many teachers, or rather, which teachers that you had inspired you to learn their subject? Got you excited?
I would honestly say none. There were teachers that did their job and others that were very clear about what they were teaching. They were very, let's say, self-aware. And because of that, it made the class a little easier because they knew it wasn't, the most interesting thing, that it wasn't the best thing. But because of that, it did make them better teachers, for sure.
Hmm. And how many teachers, more or less, did you have?
In a day?
Just how many subjects did you have?
Overall?
Yeah.
I'm actually ready with that answer, and so
Yeah, go
right
on.
now,
Yeah.
we have 11 teachers teaching us.
And one of them, 1.5 maybe, or two of them got you inspired. That's not a bad score, actually. That's better than most people. And Chateau has 0 out of however many.
0 out of whoever many. have
I
no
asked
idea.
that question to my fiance, and she said that pretty much none of the teachers really got her excited. Maybe beside one, which is funny enough also a chemistry teacher. But apparently that teacher was very, very strict. But it kind of worked for my fiance. So she did learn chemistry fairly well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm also quite surprised because I will often see like Russian students complaining about chemistry teachers. And like I've heard that chemistry is actually like many Russian students have problems with it.
So you got lucky.
Yes, I got very lucky with that teacher.
Yeah. When it comes to myself, I had. So I want to say my English teachers were good, but honestly, I think I was just so interested in the subject myself that I didn't really care about the teachers. So I wouldn't want to count that, because now that I look back on it, my English teachers were, I'd say, fairly mediocre. It's just I personally had so much passion for English language that I just carried through that despite the teachers. There was one teacher that really, really got me excited about their subject, and that
Windows
is
sounds.
my Polish literature teacher from high school and from middle school, I suppose. And as you may know, I am a rather logically minded, scientifically minded person, and despite that,
All my teachers were quite
those
poor,
Polish literature
except
lessons,
for my maths
and generally
teachers. They
culture
inspired me
in
to
general,
do better, and it's why
the way
maths
he was
teacher is
teaching
my
was
dream job.
absolutely phenomenal.
Smiley face.
But that's also one out of
Love,
however
love,
many I
love,
had
clammy games.
that really got
This
me
is
excited about their
daily
subject.
reminder that you are wonderful.
I
and
sense there is a
appreciated.
problem here.
Love, love,
I sense there's a
love.
problem with our teachers. And I felt that problem really, really badly personally, because I, as a logically minded person,
Hi, clammy. Love.
loving physics now, loving maths, what I should have done at school is logically speaking, I should study maths and physics, right? I didn't. Why? Because I hated physics at school. I absolutely hated physics at school. Why? Because my teacher really didn't excite me, and quite the opposite. Quite opposite, repelled me from learning physics. Only after I left school, I realized how amazing of a subject that is. That's a problem, because I quit school because of that. Because I studied subjects that I thought would be easy, that I didn't really care for, and then I did really bad at them. And then I thought I'm not going to pass my final exams, and I quit school. We've got a problem with teachers, but there is more. There is more to schools. So there was a study made last year in January in the United States of America. The study was basically checking how students feel about being at school. And the study results, it was quite a big study throughout the entirety of the United States. There was 21,678 participants in the first wave of the study, and then there was 472 participants in the second wave of the study. And out of the study, 75% of the students had negative feelings for school. The test, well, the way they were testing that was through 1 to 10 questions, but also open-ended questions. And negative feelings about school prevailed across all demographic groups. Feeling tired was the most prominent feeling across all the measures and samples, but feelings like I lost it. I've got an article open. So we have tired, stressed, bored were the highest scoring ones, and then happy and calm were just below 50%. So the person that did the study, she noted how words happy and calm are quite mild. They are positive, but they're not as positive as excited, curious, etc. So some people might be happy, but there isn't an excitement behind it. And most students feel tired, bored. We've got a problem with the schooling system. And a big one. What are your experiences in general with school?
Okay, so before we go fully into that, I want to backtrack a little bit. Because when you mentioned English, Max, it unlocked a distant memory. My gosh. Back when I was in middle school, I had an English teacher. And there's this program, I don't know if it's specific to Texas, but it is called the University Interscholastic League. And it organizes competitions for athletics, music programs, and academic competitions, right? So some of them were literature. They would have like history competitions, all that stuff. So I was in that program with my teacher. She was my sponsor, I guess. Like she represented me, and that's the thing. And because she was my English teacher and also I was in the competition with her, she taught me not what she wanted as an English teacher. She taught me what both, let's say, the state and the competitions wanted out of my writing, which did make me very excited for writing in general, because it was no longer about what she expected of me. She was teaching me what the final exams were going to expect from me, and specifically what these competitions wanted from me.
And that was exciting for you.
Yeah, and it was exciting because it was no longer about, oh, I have to pass her class. No, she's teaching me how to use this knowledge outside of her class more than anything. Like she pretty much forced past me in her class because I was in that program. Like she knew my potential, so it didn't matter what I did in class. And that really made a difference.
So I suppose the practical use of your skills was what excited you.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Most definitely. Yeah.
So that's one good teacher.
Out of all the rest.
We got one. We got one, guys. We did get one. So would you say you relate to the study results?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about homework?
Oof.
How do you feel about homework?
it went during high school. Like during high school, during my high school at least, teachers were very open about it not being necessary as long as we finished the work during class. Like they had very low requirements and we were pretty much responsible for everything, which was great. And that also meant no homework because I don't know why homework was a thing.
So what do you mean you were responsible for everything?
Yeah, so they would give us the assignments and it was legitimately up to us to turn that stuff in. Like they didn't care if we didn't turn it in, they would just grade the stuff they had.
So how old
Which
were you at
was
that time?
let's say 16 through 18 or 15
16
through
through
18.
18.
Yeah.
Right. That's really good. There was a point in that study. Well, it wasn't the study itself, but somebody else was commentating over the study, saying that oftentimes young adults and like people 16 over are basically becoming adults. They are being treated as little toddlers, with like, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do that. Like the freedom is taken away from people who are just about to become adults, and that's very, very counterintuitive. And what you said, that you were very glad that they gave you that freedom to pursue the subjects on your own. This is one of the solutions that was proposed by the study, to give more freedom to people, also to get away with homework.
Right.
That's really good. So you experienced that yourself? Yes, I felt that too, very much so. So when I always liked maths, all right, and during the maths class, I would often get bored with the subject we were studying at that time, so I was just taking a blank page and just trying things out, like just exploring maths on my own. And it was absolutely soul crushing when my teacher would say something like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this now. Now we're learning about this." And she was always giving us a metric ton of homework, because in her mind, you have to repeat stuff, you have to spend the hours in order to learn. I hated that, because that was the exact opposite of the way I was learning. And this was the primary reason I didn't go to study the advanced maths, the A levels in England. I don't know what like degree you have in US or Russia, because her teaching style was just completely opposite to mine, and she wouldn't give me the freedom to do it in my way, even though I was participating in maths competitions, even though I think at least I was showing good promise when it comes to like mathematical intuition. And sometimes she would acknowledge that, but then she would go back to her, "Oh, you need to do those 50 equations I gave you, or you didn't do it, or that's it, you get an F." So even though I was quite good at maths, and I still am quite good at maths, I had really, really bad grades because I was just not doing what she wanted me to do, because I prefer to learn in another way. All right, that's it. I'm getting emotional. So,
Shadow.
yeah,
How's your
Shadow.
experience been?
Me?
Yeah.
And homework?
Yes.
I'd say I almost always had time of homework, I'd say. Because I remember that basically during elementary school, there was a... Basically, you could just stay in school a while longer with a special group. I don't know how to call that properly. But, like, I don't know. I guess the word for it could be, like, but not mandatory. You could just do that. And I liked staying there because, well, I guess for one, they did let us for a walk to the school stadium for a bit, and then we also had sweet tea there and played some board games too. But also, I used to do my homework there, and that did quite save me in the elementary, because I do have trouble working at home when I have a lot of distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Procrastination.
Mm.
I
We
do
know
right
that.
now.
Yep.
Oof. I remember often thinking in like elementary and then did I forget? Is it middle school? Perhaps. Thinking that, oh no, I understand all this. Why must I be doing homework? I already got all this, or something like this.
Yep.
Because I've always been the one of the smart kids in the class.
Yep. That's it.
So I was like, I understand this. I get this. Why must I work?
No. You have to. You have to. There's no other way. I don't care that you already know this. I don't care. You have to. Oh my god, I'm melting right here. I'm not the only one who had really bad experience with that teacher.
And then a bunch of it also often seems pointless. But I don't know.
What, you mean homework?
Yeah.
Yeah, you already spent 9 hours at school. Why would you spend another 3 hours at home? Why is that necessary? Right. I touched on 2 points, which is teachers, but also homework. What about your parents? What was, or your guardians, whoever? What is your experience with them? Were they demanding? Were they accepting? What's your experience with your family or your close ones in school?
Okay, so perhaps I can start. I would say that, well, I mean, in terms of parents and guardians, I guess the biggest figure we talk about is my mom, because others,
Mm-hmm.
not much of other people when it comes to family, actually. And I guess she just gave me freedom in a lot of ways. So I think when it came to doing homework, I'm pretty sure she only spent like half of the first uh, year of school helping me with homework, and then from that point, I was doing everything myself when it came to homework. Aside from like the projects, because if I had like big projects or bigger assignments, she did help when I asked for it, of course. And then in terms of grades, well, first, I never had terrible grades, right? Or I'm pretty sure up until like 7th grade, I was basically an A student in like all quarters of, yeah. And then in the year, basically final grades, I'm pretty sure will still be A's too. So, not that my mom would even have a lot of trouble with my grades, right?
Yeah.
But then she also always mentioned that it's okay. So she does have an it's okay to like get some of these grades sometimes mentality. So she is quite accepting of it, which is good.
That does sound amazing, actually. Chateau?
For me, it was a little interesting because I was very much like I was very much a try-hard student up until, let's say, my freshman year in high school. Like I was getting all kinds of awards during elementary and middle school, but come freshman year in high school, I had this geometry class, and the teacher was very chill. Teacher was awesome.
That's 2.
Well, she didn't make me excited for the subject, but she was awesome.
That's fair.
So oftentimes seniors and like all sorts of grade levels get grouped together in a class, because you need to get specific classes in order to graduate. So if you don't get them your first 3 years, you can get those classes that you're missing your final year. So there was a senior there, well, a couple seniors there, and obviously they're they call it senioritis, where they're just goofing around, doing bare minimum. And I realized, like, they're having the time of their lives. They're just like taking it easy and still passing. Like, I saw that guy get like called to attention because he didn't turn in basically anything. But then, let's say last minute, he would just turn in a few things and he'd pass. That's all he needed. And then he would just go back to messing around.
Chilling. Yeah.
Yeah, chilling. And so from then on, I decided, I could probably just chill a little bit. And my parents did notice. It's funny because so did my teachers. Like they knew that I had a record of like getting all A's or whatever, and they were always disappointed that I didn't do all the work because it wasn't necessary. It really wasn't. I just had to pass a class. My parents didn't really care because my grades were never really failing, and if they were, it was probably like I had a problem with a teacher or something. And I did work on that. Like even when I did have problems with the teacher, I didn't like them or something, I did just find other ways to pass the class. So my parents just didn't mind as long as I passed the class. My teachers, though, they actually did. They were like, "Hey,
Oh
what's
wow.
going on here?" Yeah, my teachers were like, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, you're supposed to like boost my overall average or whatever." And I just didn't really care.
Oh.
I really didn't.
Yeah. So I asked my fiance about that too, and her dad was extremely demanding when it comes to grades. She had to hand A's in everything. Everything had to be an A, and she did that up until about 8th, 9th grade, in which she just broke and she said, "No, I'm not doing that. No." But it required a mental breakdown for her to slow down, because of that pressure. And I have a similar story actually, because when I was 16, my parents moved out to UK, to England, and I stayed in Poland, and I lived with my grandparents. And my grandmother, being a person of an older generation, especially from the times of communism, she basically thought that getting high grades and good education is the only way in life. There is no other path. You have to get great grades, then you have to get to great university, you have to get an awesome degree. And that was the only way she saw. So when I wasn't doing that, when I wasn't getting good grades, when I wasn't planning to go to a good university, that's where the tension started. And I was being, well, I was never being really told like straight that, oh, you are a failure, but I was definitely made aware that this is the feeling that she has and other members of the family do have as well. So my uncle, he's a very successful surgeon, and he is very often condescending when it comes to me and my education. He always asks, "Oh, are you going back to school? Are you going back to school?" Because that's all he knows. Because he's been educating himself for his entire life to get where he is. He doesn't realize there's another way. There are other ways. So I had a lot of pressure. And what did that pressure amount to? When I was 18, I realized I won't be able to pass year 11. And even if I do, I will definitely won't be able to pass the final exams, and I will definitely not be able to get to a university because of my attendance, because of my grades, because of the subjects I chose that I didn't really care for. And then I thought, you know what? What's the point? I'm just suffering here. Literally, I'm going to school that I hate, to then go to university that I will most likely hate as well, to then get to a job that I'll most likely hate as well. Why? And then the thoughts of unaliving started creeping in, and then eventually I got hospitalized for it. So pressure from your surrounding has a massive impact on you as a student. So I'm very happy that neither of you had that experience that me or my fiance had, and many other students do have. Right. So I touched on a bunch of things. Unless you want to add something.
No.
Cool. I touched on a few things. We had problems with the teachers, which don't excite students, which very often repel students from their subjects. We have overwhelming amounts of studying, including homework. A lot of homework. So you go to school for 8-ish hours, and you come back home. You have another 3-4 hours of homework. You often, not always, but often have high pressure from the society to do well, to succeed. What are the solutions? What can we do to make students' lives easier, to make their experience of school better? Well, there's a few, and the study itself that I mentioned before mentions a few solutions as well. So the first thing that they mentioned is to reduce the amount of hours for school. And I know myself that I have learned a bunch of absolutely terribly useless information at school. I absolutely did not need. And when I we often ask the teachers, why are we learning this? The answer was because you need to pass the exam. And that was it. Okay, but when am I ever going to use that? Oh, it's just for the exam. Awesome. That's useless.
Oh,
That's just wasted
never
energy.
did you never get those? Oh, by learning this, you're boosting your brain. You're exercising your brain, so learn this anyway.
Yeah, awesome. Can we do that while learning something useful?
No,
Please?
we gotta learn this.
Yeah, because that's the curriculum. Awesome. Great. So reducing the amount of workload for the students would be extremely beneficial. There was actually another study I forgot to mention that was done on younger students, like in primary school. They had those bracelets that were measuring their vitals, and the study showed that they felt the most stressed at school and the most relaxed out of school. Go figure. So reducing the amount of school and getting rid of homework would be an amazing thing, especially if that is being coupled with given freedom, as Chateau mentioned, because especially in the later years, because we are not children at that point. We are on the brink of adulthood. Let us make our own decisions. Don't handhold us, because that's not gonna help us at all. Thoughts so far?
Yes.
I mean, I think what hurt the most is during, let's say, elementary, everything they gave you, every time you asked, they said, we're preparing you for middle school, right? Then in middle school, every BS thing that you questioned, they said, we're preparing you for high school. But in high school, there was very little to question and very few times where they said, we're preparing you for college, other than actually taking college classes for college credit.
Yeah. No, it does sound like your high school was really good. It sounds like it allowed you to choose subject, like when you take the subjects or which subject you take.
No, we still had to take the same amount of subjects in order to graduate. It's just that we had a few more options.
That's great. That's great. I didn't
It
have
is
that.
It's awesome.
I didn't have that.
So, shout out.
Yep.
What?
Okay. We thought we had something more to add. And also with shorter school hours, they mentioned starting school later. Because early school days contribute very negatively towards student sleep patterns, and they sleep not enough. And sleep is really extremely important in your teenage years. And because of the lack of sleep, there's a higher tendency for anxiety, depression, mal eating. Is that a word? Like when you overeat or undereat?
Mm.
Eating
So that
disorders.
was basically, and a bunch of other mental health related issues because of lack of sleep. So moving the start of the day later, at least after 8:30, was the suggestion of the study. Unfortunately, most of schools, I know that all the schools in Poland start at 8, and I know that some schools start at 7, which is not very good. We have an example right here with Shadow.
Yep.
What time do you start?
9.
9. That's good. That's good.
Yes.
But you still go to school on Saturdays.
Yes.
And is that a full day or is that a half day?
A full day?
A full
Oof.
day, of course. You only get 1 day off. And what do you do
Yes.
in that 1 day off? Homework. Well, at least that's what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
There's just not enough time for you to rest. And that obviously contributes to your mental state as well. When it comes to teachers, I think what needs to be done, like drastically, teachers need to be educated. Like, at least me, I had a lot of older teachers that were very, very stuck in the old ways. That's how I've been taught, so that's how it has to be. No, people learn differently. As Chateau mentioned, people learn different ways. Just because you learned it in that way doesn't mean it's the one and only way to teach. Doesn't mean that's one and the only way to learn. We need to educate teachers how to teach, because I feel like, at least in my experience, a lot of them just studied their subject and they thought, oh, I understand it now, I can teach it. No, there is much more to teaching than just understanding the subject. Much, much more. So we need education for our teachers. But also we need to educate our parents, the guardians of the students, that putting an insane amounts of pressure acts very, very negatively for the results that we get as students. That perhaps we should promote specialization. If I know that my child loves biology, I can say, and doesn't like maths, I can say, all right, just get a passing grade on maths and do your thing with biology. I think that would be a phenomenal way for parents to act. I wish that was done in my time. Fortunately, it was not. Yeah, that's pretty much it. A few things, just a bit of education for the parents and students, and decreasing the amount of hours.
Mhm.
What would you do to improve the life of students?
Well, I'd say the thing to mention, yes, those ones.
Hmm.
I don't know what else. I suppose perhaps when it comes to my country in particular, I bet there are a lot of schools in bad conditions. So that would need to be improved.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's a huge thing, right? But I'm not sure how it would be solved even. But when it comes to curriculums and lesson plans, I'll reference my history class again. It was like the easiest, most chillest, that's the thing. The most chill subject I had in the entirety of school. In history classes, their lesson plans cover a time period between, let's say, a few years. And there's only a certain amount of events that are happening during those years that they have to cover. So their lesson plan of doing a new subject a new event during that time period every week actually sort of works, because then the final exam or whatever, we can retain most of it because it's only a set amount of time period. But if that same idea is applied to something like math, where even if it's boiled down to just algebra, or even algebra 1 and algebra 2, there's just too much to cover for that idea of learning something new every week to apply. Because it was legitimately like learn something one week, then learn something completely different that relates nothing to the previous thing. And somehow they tied it all together at the end of the year. And it just didn't really work out, specifically for that subject. And I feel like there has to be a change in maybe the curriculum, maybe the amount that is taught per year in those more difficult subjects.
Yeah, what you describe makes no sense. I think things should be building up on one another. Like you learn one thing, then you use that thing to solve a more difficult subject next class, and then you build up on it and build up and build up and build up. So you keep using the knowledge you've acquired. That's where you should be, I think.
But like during history, like I said, it may have been something new every week, but it was still within the same time period.
Mm-hmm.
So it was still sort of, you can tie them together.
Yeah, no, history
pretty
makes
easily.
sense because
Yes.
you can
But
do it
with math,
chronologically.
it just never really seemed to tie together.
Well, your teacher was not very good then.
Well, she was very good because we learned the subject of the week, but we could not, like it just didn't,
So she wasn't
there
very
was no
good
way.
then.
Well, they were completely different subjects, Max. Like, there was no way to tie them together. Unless she was, I don't know how lesson plans work, if teachers actually make them, or they're forced to teach certain things that year. But I would say she did her job and taught us what we had to for the week. But overall, I think it was just tough to tie it all together when there's so much to learn.
I'm pretty sure they do receive a curriculum, like a set of subjects that they have to teach in a year. At least that's how it works in Poland. I would like to mention something that Hey Sandrio said, and that is about daycare center at school, so that parents can pick them up. Poland has that. At least the primary school I went to had that. So you could stay there in like a separate area of the school where you had not even teachers, just people dedicated to that area, and you can stay there however long you wanted after school. Well, up to a certain time. So that does exist. Maybe it didn't exist in your school, but that does exist. At least in Poland, it does. And it was good. It was good. Because that meant that school wasn't only a soulless place when you get stuff beaten into your head. Well, that's very violent language. That didn't happen, all right? Stuff forced down your head. It was also a place where you could meet with your friends in that like daycare area and play Beyblade and stuff. It does exist. I'm pretty much done with my subject. School equals bad. School equals can be better. So much better. We need schools to excite people to learn.
Yeah.
We don't, yeah. Because that I had a spark in me for learning. That spark was brutally extinguished. And now I didn't even finish school. And I'm pouring bloody concrete for living. As opposed to doing physics, as I know I could, but it's getting more and more difficult each year to go back.
I will say, I studied, well, quote unquote, studied engineering in high school. And that teacher made it a point to show us exactly what each field of engineering did and like what they worked with. And I would say he did a good job of showing us like that all these dreams weren't really realistic, that some of the work was just drooling and
But that's
not
good,
the
I think.
best. But yeah, he was a very good teacher. He really made it a point to show us exactly what we would have done if we were in that field.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
I would
actually amazing.
I would consider that a good teacher, but he didn't make me interested in the subject. But he was a very good teacher.
Fair.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, not everybody will like engineering. Not everybody will like biology.
Hmm.
But if the overwhelming reaction to a teacher is, I hate this, then that's a problem. All right, I think I'm finished. Shall we talk about the limits of learning?
Yay!
Sad joy.
So, last topic for today, is it not?
I think so.
And so, yeah, the topic I'm bringing to this conversation is the limits of our learning. And I actually chose this because I had a mentality that as long as a skill, as long as you can like physically perform a skill, then with enough time you can learn anything. Like with enough time and with enough dedication. Like perhaps not on a perfect level, obviously, but on a decent one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree. However, my motivation is lacking.
Well, that
Potential.
is
The potential is there. Motivation. But yeah, no. Theoretically, if you focused on a subject for long enough and you were really, really into it, you could learn anything. I agree.
nice.
I
In
agree as
theory.
well.
In practice, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So we all agree on this then.
Yes.
Wonderful. So then perhaps we should discuss our limits of learning as in so perhaps as in like the number of things we may learn, or what other limits are there to our learning?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
I would need to research that. I don't know if there is. I suppose there is a physical limit of the amount of data you can hold as a human being.
Yeah, I think we touch a little on psychology here because, again, there is not necessarily a physical restraint on what you can learn, but
I
there
think
might
there is, though.
Is there?
I mean, we are physical beings. Surely at some point we just run out of resources to keep the data. Just like you run out of resources on a hard drive, run out of space. We are a physical object, and our memories are stored in our brain.
Well, I guess there would be a limit eventually, but I would imagine that's a high limit. But I believe there
probably.
are more often than not mental restrictions.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might fall into a little bit of psychology.
So basically, if like at some point you will not be wanting to learn stuff.
Yeah. The motivation. That's it.
Hmm. I think not just motivation, but ambition. Because I think
Yeah.
in every field, whether it's athletics or anything that's competitive, there is a really big like difference between I think, what do they call it, being hungry
Hmm.
for something and
Yeah.
just being passionate, because I would say there's a difference.
Interesting. So perhaps then, like, maybe we can discuss like what should we do with the learning. Like, should we be
Hmm.
trying to learn as much as possible, or no? And
Oh,
how to?
that's complicated. Because I kind of want to say, yes, I think learning is amazing. The more you know, the better. Knowledge is power. But if you start learning everything, then you will learn nothing.
Hmm.
You have to specialize. You have to narrow it down, in my opinion.
Yeah, because like you said previously, Max, we've learned a lot of useless things in school, and that
Yes,
knowledge wasn't useful.
it's gone now.
Yep.
Yes, learning, yes, but learning
Not
what
everything.
interests us. Yeah, not
Yeah.
everything. Narrow it down.
Hmm, that is a good answer.
Thank you.
So no, but yes. Yes, but actually no.
Yes, but actually no. That's it. Yes, but actually
Hmm.
no.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Me? Or still?
Hmm? You?
Hmm.
Me.
Yes.
Okay. On like what you should learn?
You asked the question yourself.
Well, yeah. Doesn't mean I do.
Hmm.
Uh
So do you agree with
Left.
us then, or do you have other thoughts?
well, I suppose you could, even if you really wanted to learn a lot, at a point, as we've previously said, you would just not be motivated. Perhaps. But yeah, you should be learning as much as you could, but at the same time, perhaps you just follow your motivation here then. Not to
Mm.
get not to get unmotivated to learn. Because perhaps if you try and, stuff knowledge into yourself, like for example school does to you, many people just lose interest in learning.
Yeah, because it hasn't been presented to them correctly, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Because the learning is presented as just cramming a bunch of information into your head for not for not much reason, not much point. At least that's how I saw learning in high school.
Yeah, and motivation in school is very much either tests or deadlines, because I think we've all heard stories of uh, the the 11 o'clock essay that was due at midnight.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Have we heard the stories? We made them stories.
We
We
actively create the
experienced those
stories.
stories.
Oh my friends, no, there is more. So imagine you have an essay to be handed physically on paper, the first class of the day. So it's midnight the day before, and you haven't even started, what do?
You sacrifice sleep.
You sacrifice sleep, exactly. And guess what? For the first hour, you're thinking, "Oh yeah, I probably should be doing that," and then you watch some YouTube. So it's 1 o'clock now, and then you're like, "Yeah, no, I need to de-stress myself now." So you play World of Warcraft for an hour. It's 2 o'clock. Yeah, I probably should start. And then an hour passes. 3 o'clock. Oh shit! I really need to get it done. And then you start, and then
Yep.
you are sleep deprived and head empty, and then that's it. Death. I've done it so many times.
Suffrage.
So many times. Yeah. Procrastination is the thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The biggest of demons.
So
Dang. I'm remembering back, and I don't think I struggled too often with that. Because like
Always.
the moment I stopped like worrying too much about getting A's, I was legit calculating what each assignment had a percentage that was the grade for the end of the week. And teachers would tell you, right, this is only worth 10%, but do it anyway. And then there would often be a test at the end of the week or a quiz that was worth, let's say, 60%. So I would literally calculate, like, I only have to pass that quiz and turn in like 1.5 assignments. So I would just chill with the rest of the assignments and not do them, not worry about them.
that's a
So
good
yeah,
strat.
once I stopped, let's say, caring a lot about getting A's, it was a lot less stress. It was like so much weight off my shoulders.
That's it. That's why I was talking about the pressure from your environment. The less, the better.
Yep.
Not none. No pressure whatsoever is also bad.
Mm.
But more often than not, we have too much pressure. Konotic said something in my chat that he's in college and he still procrastinates. That does not end. That definitely doesn't, because I've been out of school for 8 years and I still procrastinate. Like, I need to do the dishes. Yeah, maybe I'll play one match in Master Duel. Oh yeah, I need to do the laundry. Oh yeah, maybe I'll just sit down for a minute. It does not end.
I think, I kid you not, I really believe that there is some sort of like kick that you get out of being able to do something last minute, because you do get like a huge push of motivation if
You
you're
do.
like so close to the deadline.
You
I feel like you
do.
actually get some sort of like dopamine reaction out of that, and
It's weird.
people seek it after time.
You
There's got to
do.
be something about that, because
Yes.
like procrastinating for so long, when they're like, there's got to be something. Like, it's just such a huge boost in productivity.
It's
And
crazy.
even after you're done, you're like, I can't believe I finished this in an hour when I would have struggled with this for weeks.
Even
Like,
more. Even
yeah.
more. You've done it and you're like, I can do more. I've got the power now.
Yep.
I get that a lot. Seriously. It's mad. Procrastinators unite.
Indeed.
Yay.
That's
How do
everybody.
I raise my arm? I suppose I
don't
can
have
on my
arms.
stream.
Oh yeah, damn. I guess I'm just a cupcake now.
A fierce T-posing cupcake.
It's like a
A power
I
stance.
suppose it is a power stance. I'm a cupcake. How did we get to procrastination?
Cool.
Mhm.
Cool.
Because
Just cool.
yes.
So wait,
What?
limits. Carry on.
That would be problematic though. How would I carry on? We all agree.
You see, when it comes to limits, so when it comes to learning stuff that we already know as a humankind, I don't think there is a limit to that. So whatever other humans already learned, we can also learn. Maybe with some exceptions, like I don't think uh, myself, I don't think I could ever reach the level of Albert Einstein when it comes to physics or Stephen Hawking. Like I think there are few people that excel in certain areas that are unreachable to other people with, like, specifically that within that area. So I think that is a limit. I don't think I could ever get to a level of Albert Einstein. Would you say?
This it might be a bit off to the side, but there is an anime about boxing, Hajime no Ippo, and a very important theme that they mention is the difference between skill and talent, and what separates that and when it matters most. And I think at super high levels, I think that's where people that maybe study in the same field do become separated. The difference between the time invested and skill and just raw talent.
Yeah,
In
yeah, I do
combination
think.
with the rest.
Yeah, I do think that certain people. I think each of us has an area in which we have extreme potential to excel in. And if like you said, if someone has extreme potential for boxing, then if they put the same amount of time and effort into training as someone else who doesn't have the potential, they will always win. And I feel like that's the same for any subject, including like knowledge-based subjects. So I think there are limits for individual people, purely based on the innate capabilities they have.
So I suppose this is a talk about talent now. And yeah, that is a good theme to mention here. So yeah, talent. I suppose kind of my mentality towards this is that talents make it easier for you to learn, but that doesn't mean you can't do it if you don't have a talent.
I agree, 100%. Also, I don't really think talent exists. I think talent is a myth.
It might be.
But you just said you couldn't get to level, for example, Einstein.
Yeah, but I didn't say talent. I say, well, maybe that's semantics. I said innate capability. No.
That's basically what.
Yeah. Let me explain. I think that people with greater passion for a subject will excel in that subject more than people who don't have as much passion for the subject. So maybe I should say I don't have as much passion for physics as Albert Einstein did. Therefore, I wouldn't be able to get to his level.
I mean, I want to come back to the thing about like the difference between passion and ambition, because passion, I would think, is you strive for something until you don't enjoy it. Because passion entails that you enjoy what you're doing and you're very excited about what you're doing. You're very happy where you are. Ambition is more like getting to a goal no matter what and doing whatever is necessary to get to that goal.
So what are you trying to say?
That maybe passion can take you far, but ambition might take you a little bit further, a tiny bit further.
I feel like you need both
For
ambition and passion. and perhaps I don't want to use the word talent, but perhaps I don't have enough ambition and passion for physics as Albert Einstein did. Therefore, I will not reach his level.
Right.
Therefore, the outcome of this conversation is that you are only limited in learning when it comes to your motivation and passion for a certain subject you're trying to learn.
And ambition. Ambition is really important, I think, actually.
That is a great thought.
Yeah, I would
I
say
agree.
ambition and motivation are tied, but if you don't have passion, you won't enjoy it as you're doing it.
And then you are more likely to stop doing it, therefore.
Yeah.
So in order to excel in a subject, you need both passion for it and ambition to succeed.
And if you're able to have both, it might be considered talent.
Oh my god. I don't like that word because people put
Yeah,
magical things. Oh, that person has a talent for piano. No, they just spent 8 hours each day playing.
Oh my gosh, the word prodigy. It's so much worse.
You know? That's why I don't like the word talent, because people add magical properties to it.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. It's just dedication. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And dedication comes from passion and ambition.
Nice.
Nice. That's right. So when you said that you wanted to talk about the limits of learning, what I envisioned is limits of knowledge. Like, there are things that are unknowable that we will never be able to know.
Oh.
Like, that's what came to my mind when you said limits of knowledge, like limits of learning. Like, we will most likely never learn what happened before Big Bang. Like, that sentence doesn't even make sense because time started with Big Bang. Like, there is no way to know that. You know, that's what came to my mind when you said limits of learning.
I see. So do you say we should discuss that, or?
I don't think I have enough data on it at the moment, but there are many things that we don't know and we will never know the answer to. And, well, okay, we're going into my forte, which is people's beliefs. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable with not knowing. So they invent something to fill the gap. We call it religion. It's basically what I would say. It's okay to say I don't know, and it's okay to say we will never know. And lots of people don't like that, unfortunately.
Life.
What do you think? Like, how comfortable are you with not knowing stuff?
Right now I'd say I'm okay, but I don't know how I am actually. I don't know. I'd say it's kind of hard to not judge myself, like, to, what's the word? To judge myself objectively on this. Because I don't remember the last time I had to, like, admit I don't know something. I would say I'm okay. Well.
I mean, I'm not afraid to admit I don't know many things. So, like, if someone asks me about something, I will just say I don't know. But then again, we have Google.
The Doubler.
Very
Thank you very much for the
access
follow.
to Google.
I do appreciate.
But then there comes the word ignorance. And especially in subjects where people believe you should know something, I think that's where the lack of knowledge becomes an issue where people believe you should know something and you don't.
Tell you
So
what,
let's say,
I need
let's say, for
definition.
example, ignorance. Definition of
L-
ignorance.
Yeah, lack of knowledge or information.
Right. So let's say, for example, I don't know much about politics, which is crazy to many people. Lots of people are very in touch with politics, specifically on a baseline for the place where they live. And not knowing that knowledge, and even not sort of ever knowing that knowledge, could be labeled as ignorance by many people. So I think that's where the lack of knowledge and not knowing things is an issue.
So the way you use the word ignorance almost feels like an insult.
Right. And that's how I've experienced it being used for the most part. So that's what I was a little surprised when I heard the definition. It's very basic for the way it's used.
Yes, yeah. So ignorance is not a bad word. It's just being used as bad word. It's being used to basically sophisticatedly say, that's not a word, sophisticatedly, to say in a sophisticated way that you're stupid. That's
I would guess so. Yeah.
That's how it's usually used. No, it's just lack of information.
Mhm.
But I suppose language evolves, so I suppose it does become derogatory over time.
I guess so.
Although I must say, when it comes to politics, what I would say is politics directly affects you. So it is beneficial for you to know what's going on. That's all I can say about that.
Right. I have questions about that, but we'll discuss that later.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Right, we can do an episode on politics. Oh, that'll be fun.
I guess so. Yeah, I do have enough questions for that. Yeah.
Will we speedrun getting banned on Twitch?
Okay.
No.
I don't think so. We won't go that far.
No.
Just basic questions.
So wait, what were we talking about before? We were talking about ignorance. Oh yeah, and be comfortable with not knowing.
Yes.
Yep. Yes. So I debate religion quite often with people I meet, like coworkers and all that, and very often they ask me a question like, "What caused Big Bang?" And then I say, "I don't know," and they take it as a win, like, "Oh, you don't know? You don't know that?" Yes, because we may never know, and some people just don't get that. And it gets me really, really frustrated that when I say I don't know, that is the most. Oh, look at me bragging about humbleness. That's the most humble thing to say. Yes, I don't know, and I will never know, and I'm fine with that. I found peace with that. And too many people are uncomfortable not knowing, and it drives me nuts. It's okay to not know. It's okay.
I think in that specific situation, it becomes worse when it's a loaded question because they know and they want to know if you know to have some sort of superiority.
That's it, yeah. Well, that's the thing. They don't know, though. They don't. They convince themselves that they know, but they don't. They believe. That's very, very different. That's very, very
Interesting.
different.
Okay.
Like, they can say, "Oh, I know it was Allah that did it," but then I ask to Hare Krishna, and they say, "Oh, no, it was Krishna who did it." And then I ask a Christian, they say, "Oh, no, Yahweh did it." So none of them know. They just do that to feel secure, to feel like they know. It takes balls to, well, that's a very sexist term. It takes courage to admit to not knowing, I think.
Yeah, not only does it take courage, but it shouldn't be looked down upon for any reason.
Yes, for sure.
People should be educated instead of mocked for not knowing something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Shadow, you're awfully quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
Oh, I don't know about that. Ah, bless. Knowledge.
Knowledge. Wow, we strayed quite a bit over the past, what was it, 40 minutes?
It was all about learning, though. It's all within the theme.
Yes. Yes, it was.
So, are we doing a conclusion now?
I believe we should.
Sure. I don't know what that would entail, but I can improvise.
Well, what did we like learn today? What did we agree upon?
So, first of all, we were talking about the ways people memorize things, and we discussed what methods we use ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally said that spaced repetition really, really does work for me. And also, I said that I don't really like learning through chunking as Chateau does. I prefer to learn through, I suppose, problem solving, finding solutions, finding my way through a problem.
We also discussed a little about the school system
A little.
and our experience with those things, such as school.
The joy.
The joy.
And then, I guess lastly, we did talk a bit about limitations of our learning and other stuff as well, such as like the difference between talent and about talent a bit, about ambition. What else was it? Ambition, motivation, passion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Passion
those
and
things.
ambition. Yes.
And I guess
dedication.
our conclusion is that you can learn anything and become however good at an area, at a subject, as long as you have passion and ambition there and you dedicate your time to it.
A lot of time.
So
yeah. So what are we doing next week?
Next week we're talking about free time activities, right? So hobbies, but also not hobbies, perhaps relaxing.
Chillaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, we were meant to be going for an hour. It's been almost 2 hours.
It has.
I think that's a good time, though.
Perhaps. Yeah. Oh yeah, we can also talk a bit about our experiences with having done this now.
I suppose we could.
So, I guess I would say that, especially yesterday when we were preparing for this, I did get a feel of excitement. But also it is quite a bit stressful because, new thing with a new format, right? So, now we got a format we stick to. And you got some responsibilities. Now we talk, and we try to make this enjoyable. So, yay! A bit more pressure now, right? And I guess I also feel a bit sorry for my last subject because it turned messy. Oof.
Aww.
No, we got some good things out of that.
Yeah.
It's just I think when I started my subject, I just didn't have a lot on it, and so we just got all messy.
Let me guess. It was just a brain empty moment.
No, we talked about this as well, where we needed subjects that we didn't always agree on, because then we all say yes and then don't have much else. And that's exactly what happened this time.
Yeah. But perhaps a backup subject would be good. I think what I could do better is, so I did have information, I did have things I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have the structure there. It was a bit chaotic. So for the next episode, I think I'll need to introduce a bit of structure into it, or add a bit more structure.
I think for me personally, I'll just get something I will say on the subject, because I guess you two seem to be doing that. Like a little monologue.
Basically a TED Talk. A mini TED
Yeah.
Talk. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, it's going to be one TED Talk for each of us per episode. So 3 TED Talks per episode. Promised. Guaranteed.
Oh my god,
Shadow
these emotes are
2168
awesome,
Cry
Shadow.
Shadow 2168 Angry Shadow 2168 Cry Shadow
Shadow did new
2168
emotes.
Angry Shadow 2168
Oh.
Cry
New
Shadow
emotes.
You
Literally,
lurking
as
in my
Shadow
stream.
2168 Cry
Hmm.
Shadow
I have both of
2168
your
Angry.
streams open and both of your chats open.
I
Yes.
see.
I can send you the screenshot of that. Well, the screenshot.
Yeah, since we don't
Oh,
have
Windows
any
sounds.
game to worry about, we can just stare at all the chats and all the streams.
Yeah, that's literally what I did.
Pog.
Very much Pog. I was going to say something, I forgot.
Shadow
Yeah, really. Oh yeah, so Shadow was doing those
Shadow
emotes as we were talking.
2168
Yeah.
Angry Shadow
That's crazy.
2168 Cry Shadow 2168 Angry
And she's
Really?
got instant uploads.
2168 Cry Shadow
Yeah, for some
2168
reason, I
Angry
didn't
Shadow
expect them on
2168
all
Cry
of the
Shadow
emotes.
2168
Like,
Angry
I
Shadow
uploaded 3.
2168 Cry Shadow
I modified
2168
one,
Angry
so
Shadow
I like it more,
2168
and then
Cry
I added
Shadow
2,
2168
and all of
Angry
those were
Shadow
instant uploads.
2168 Cry Shadow 2168
I don't
Angry
have
Shadow
that.
2168 Cry
And I
I
think
mean,
I know
I technically
why.
don't have
Angry
that,
Shadow 2168
but they still
No, you
upload
do.
instantly.
2168 Angry.
No, there is, like, Twitch does show you, hey, you want to upload your emotes instantly? If you've been an affiliate for 2 years. I think that's...
No.
There was something like that.
Maybe it used to be. I'm pretty sure nowadays you have to be in good standing and have been affiliated for 3 months.
Shadow 2168
Really?
Shake
Yeah.
Shadow 2168 Shake Shadow 2168
I remember
Okay,
them
can I point
saying
out
something
real
about
quick
those.
Yeah, go on.
Shake.
how much more chill this is now that we don't have
Love,
subjects to
love,
talk
love.
about?
Tea
Like, now
time
that we
with
don't have the
Max.
responsibility of
yeah.
subjects to talk about,
Reminder that you are
it's
wonderful
much more
and
chill.
appreciated. Love.
It's a different
Yeah.
vibe.
Love.
It is.
I like that.
So, are we
Can-
doing
can we-
Pickleball or no?
Hang on a minute. I've got a question while we're here. Can we make the subjects part more like this? Is there a way
We
to be
would
chill?
give up the enjoyment then
The enjoyment of what?
of the viewers. Because if we have structure, as you know, we have, like, as we did now, so all the format, then it's like more quality for whoever's going to be listening to it.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So then the question comes between professional or chill. Because we could have more of this, where it's just casual conversation, but then we would have a lot less, let's say, time for the actual subject. So we would still be on the subject, but we would be a lot more loose about it and not focus on staying on subject so much. Like we wouldn't be from one subject to another, just very strict.
Well, yeah, but like imagine if, just imagine if you'd like to listen to a podcast and three people just ramble about something, going back and forth to whatever topics. You'll be like, okay, probably.
I actually
think with
do
you
listen to
do.
quite a few of those. Yeah.
Ah,
So like it's a very loose subject that they choose. So they could choose, let's say, cryptids, right? And the subject is still cryptids, but they're like talking about life stories, about friend of a friend's stories or something. But then they always come back to cryptids. And what ties that together is usually the time of the podcast, which is usually, let's say, like 40 minutes. So cryptids turned into a very short topic, and it's one short subject. And most of it was actually stories. So it wasn't all about cryptids. It was like stories on the subject of cryptids. So it's a lot more relaxed, not necessarily just pure information.
I feel like with time and practice, a certain style will just happen naturally.
Yeah, because this is our first one. We have to like figure things out.
Yeah, give us 10 of these, and then maybe we'll start be better. Basically,
We're gonna get good.
we're gonna get good. Oh, it's such a shame that neither of you can stream Dark Souls.
And I really thought I could, but apparently not.
Just get good, get a job, and buy a PC. So I suppose.
I mean, I can buy another PC, but like, gotta save money.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you because I'm in the same spot. Although happily, I just paid for the venue yesterday. I paid the remaining amount, so that's one less thing to worry about. For the wedding, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I kinda do have some money, which could be spent on a PC. But
In the current situation, I'd
yeah.
rather, yeah. Although, tell you what, with the situation going on in Russia, what I would probably do myself in the situation, I would start buying like gold or something physical, because ruble might just drop. Already did. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ruble might be worthless, whereas gold will always be worth something.
I think I looked into buying not necessarily gold, but silver at some point. Isn't it taxable?
Or buying gold. Well, it depends on the country, right?
I think
I don't know what the
if you hold
law is in Russia.
if you hold on to it, I think it's taxable for some reason. It's like a very small tax, but it is taxable because you're holding on to an ever increasing item, I guess.
I don't know how it is in Russia. I don't know how it is in UK actually.
Mm.
No, maybe we could learn about that.
I mean, I was gonna wait until after like my birthday, anyway, because
What, to get a PC?
yeah, because I get some money on my birthday, so that's more money I can spend. And also, since my birthday is at the end of May, summer seems like quite some time to go and actually work on it, on like the PC.
Things can change so much until May.
Well, yeah.
Like drastically.
Huh.
Especially in your country. I'm fine. I'm doing fine. Like, you remember that meme with a dog in
Yep.
a burning house? Yep.
Yep.
That sounds like you right now. Bravo. Yeah, that's the only thing people talk about nowadays. like at work, I was like casting concrete with 3 other guys, and they were just talking about it for the entirety of it, like entire hour and a half. That was just, oh, Russians lost this, oh, Ukrainians lost that, oh, this and this and that, oh, support from there. It's getting a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
Politics. How? What I'm interested in actually is how does the conflict affect the regular, like, Russian civilian at the moment, currently? What's the effect so far?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I do know. Uh, I guess, well, economy is already quite fucked, right? So, I guess it will get more fucked.
What do you mean it's fucked? As in, what? Did you
Hmm.
notice prices rising
Oh,
already?
so far, I don't think I have noticed much, but like soon, the effect will show itself.
Well, yeah,
I'm staying at home most of the time anyway.
yes,
I'm
but
just
then you
chilling
still have
here.
to buy food, right?
Yeah,
So it looks like so far the conflict didn't affect you as much.
no.
Okay,
I mean,
that,
yeah, like I agree.
that
That's what I mean.
that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Mm,
Because that's what I worry about, really. Um, yeah, because obviously the entire, like, invasion was just Putin and his elites, right? And his, like, friends. It has nothing to do with the will of the actual people of Russia.
well, that yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I must say that many people, many Ukrainian people, etc., are mad in Russians, and like those feelings are fair, in my opinion. From what I mean, it's like, yeah.
I don't know. It's. I think the frustration and the anger should be directed at Putin and not at the country. And at least in UK, that's where I live. For those of you who don't know, the focus is on Putin. Definitely, the focus has never been on Russia. The focus has always been on Putin and his, like, elite friends.
That's good.
Yes, and I'm very, very glad that that is the case. Are you allowed to travel abroad? I've got a question in my chat for you, Shadow. Are you allowed to travel abroad
I'm
from
pretty
Russia
sure
somewhere else?
that, first of all, as of right now, I'm pretty sure European countries, like most of them, or at least the ones close to Russia, have already closed their airspace for Russian airlines. Not for some private jets, though, but.
Whoa! Wow! Really?
Oh, well, yeah, I have seen Twitter posts from like, oh yeah, hey, this private jet is like just from Russia, is just flying above Europe, and nothing's happening because it's not actually registered in Russia, though. So, haha.
I see.
So I guess it's only for planes or something registered. No, well, like for Russian airlines. So I'm pretty sure some private jets still were able to fly. Anyway,
Can you,
and I'm
like?
and
Would you be able to
I'm
drive?
drive.
Yeah.
I'm not sure actually. I know that I have heard something about not giving how do
Visa.
say visas, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about that actually.
Hmm. Damn.
I know that many services have already stopped their work with Russian accounts.
Yeah.
So, like PayPal, I'm pretty sure OnlyFans too.
Oh wow, that's the most important one. Yeah, UK has closed, like, it's rejecting all the transactions with Russia, all the bank transactions and all that. You cannot trade with Russia at all. There is one thing that was mentioned today at work about it was some esport. I'm not sure which esport that is. It might have been Apex Legends, or some competitive game. There is a tournament going on, or will be happening very, very soon. And there are two teams from Russia in that tournament, and those teams are being rejected just because they are Russian. And I thought that's not really fair, because they didn't choose for their quote unquote leader to invade another country. It wasn't their choice. So that's not really fair. But then I thought it a bit more, and I realized that this is the right way to do it, because what it does is it makes people discontent with the government, and therefore there's a high chance for the government to be overthrown, because people are unhappy that they are not allowed to do things they want to do because of their leader. What are your thoughts?
It is a quite complicated subject. I think that there is some logic to it, though at the same time, like motivating people in such a way is a complicated thing, because you might as well get some people unmotivated because they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna give up. Stuff is hard. So I don't know actually. Maybe. I don't know if there is a way to actually measure the effect of this. I guess perhaps it, like, to actually say whether that is a good thing or not a good thing would be to measure its effect. But I don't know how to do that is first, and second, not that anybody's gonna do that soon, I don't think. Right?
Yeah. Chateau,
Mm.
do you have any thoughts about banning Russian teams from esports because of the conflict?
Specifically, esports. I mean, I've seen
Just
a little
any
bit
field, really.
about. I've seen something about in the chess community about Russian something about Russian teams not being able to compete. But there's quite a bit that goes into that. I don't know if it's specific to the thoughts, to the ideas or opinions of the specific players. I haven't looked much into it, but there is something going on. But I just have no idea, no thoughts. Head empty.
No thoughts, head empty. That's right.
Yep.
Because it does kind of feel unfair, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a necessary evil. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough on the individual people, but then it's even tougher for those whose homes are no more. Jesus, how did we get here?
Because that's the news.
That is the news, unfortunately. Like, I want to escape it, but at the same time, I do want to know. Like, it's tough. It's tough. Do we have any more thoughts?
No, no thoughts had empty.
No thoughts, head empty.
Will we be trying out pickup work or doing anything else like a game or no?
I think we're fine just finishing. At least I feel a bit tired personally.
I agree.
Okay.
And I think that the time frame was quite good. Like some podcasts are an hour long, but some podcasts are like hour and 40 minutes long, and this seems to be the time we spent today as well. On this, about hour and 40 minutes.
Mm.
We will polish the formula. It's funny because I'm Polish. Right. Is this the end?
I believe so.
Right, yo. I'll wrap it up over at my end. And then
Same.
coolio. I shall see both of you at some point.
Yep.
Yep. Well. What do I do though? I'm not sure I should be finishing, but at the same time, I don't know what to do either. Choices, tough choices. I can't do choices. I suppose I could actually play a bit of Celeste. Will people who followed me for Celeste be mad at me for playing Celeste on like other days other than Wednesday? Because that's what's been advertised, right? Huh? I suppose we will see. Because I'm not sure I'm feeling like doing another emote. I was actually thinking about redoing my lurk one. Because I don't like it, but I did too.
Shadow 2168.
Oh my god,
Shadow
Robo.
2168 angry.
Wouldn't say I'm too proud of them, but like, guess they're fine. Guess they're fine, and that's what matters, right? Right. Right, so I should turn this off. Ah! Oh no, I forgot this image is here. Now we'll have even more OBS sources. Do I wrap up as well? Do I do Celeste? Okay, perhaps if anything I'll just stream more on Wednesday, right? Right. So that's it then. Perhaps I will end too. So yeah. Let's do this. Let's find somebody to raid. Though don't listen to anything yet. I'm finding somebody to raid. Oh. Oh. I think I know who I would raid, right? Let's go. I can't spell though. I was able to spell. There we go. So, time to wrap up. Today we did our first episode of a podcast. I feel I have mixed feelings about this. I have mixed feelings because yeah, it was quite stressful, was it not? But meow. Hey Sanrio, thank you very much for the follow. I do appreciate it. Yeah. Drew 2 emotes. Felt a bit confused at the end, but perhaps we'll figure something out. Perhaps we'll do some more games together. And that is it for the stream. Everybody have your lives daily. And the stream is now ending. Robo, do your thing, please.
Daily.
Robo, please. Can't trust you, can I? Anyway.
Love. This is your daily
Everyone
reminder that
bye.
you are wonderful
My
and
God.
appreciated. Love.